What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for Your Overwatch, and today we're going to be breaking down the changes to D.Va, what it does to affect her playstyle, but as well the entire game, because D.Va was pretty core to how much of the game was played and how a lot of things got countered, and a lot of that is a bit different now. Not entirely different, but different enough to be able to discuss here today. So, D.Va, in her current form on Live, is more or less defined by the power of Defense Matrix. This is kind of a controversial point about her kit because many players don't like playing against it since there's not a lot of counterplay. You don't really know when she's running out of it. I think they could have possibly added like a color coding system so that that became obvious. Maybe like green when it's full, yellow when it's halfway, and red when it's about to go out. Nevertheless, side note, not doing that. Regardless, because you can pop it in and out of effect, it can instantly block tons of damage, infinite damage really, for its duration, and feathering the trigger and managing it well meant that D.Va could have a suffocating effect on the enemy when played properly. Well, with the new D.Va, new and improved, Blizzard clearly were looking to get her in the fight more, halving the uptime of Defense Matrix, giving her a brand new micro missiles ability, which sort of just adds on her DPS output, but the most important one of all to me is being able to shoot while thrusting towards a target, letting her hunt down targets with some impressive lethality. The Korean D.Va playstyle with suffocating Defense Matrix is still going to be a core skill set that you are going to want to hold on to, definitely still relevant, does all of those things still really well, but you have to be far more selective about when you're popping Defense Matrix in and out of effect. There's some downsides to the meta about this, though, that I will go into depth to explain, but first I'm going to talk about her slightly more exciting playstyle, where now she is the lethal dive tank. There's a few reasons for this, not just for the fact that she has missiles that she shoots out now. I would say even more so because of how much better her shift, her thrusters are, because she's able to track down a target and close the distance, amplifying the damage of her main primary fire. When you take that into account, the missiles are more of a cherry on top. The micro missiles are kind of sporadic, and I'm sure they can be mastered, but they're nowhere near as reliable as her main weapon is, and since she's able to shoot, aim, close the distance all in one motion. Also, of course, you can add in the cheeky little boop that the thrusters do when you hit the target and a melee at the end of that for 60 damage of burst. She's able to run down targets with great efficiency now, better than Winston ever could. And since her thrusters are on a 5-second cooldown, she has this recurring threat to her all the time that if she gets an angle on you and is able to close the distance on you, she pretty much can insta-kill any squishy that's caught out by this ability by itself. The micro missiles help with her lethality in doing this, but the problem with the micro missiles is that because it's a delayed projectile, you actually have to aim it differently than you're going to be aiming your main weapon, so sometimes you will have to choose. More times than not, though, I think you're going to want to default on aiming her main weapon, because it's going to do more damage at close range, whereas the missiles you're going to have to lead a little bit, especially the further the target is away, because they do travel fairly slow. So with all these things considered, what does this do to D.Va's playstyle? Well, I think it makes her a much more sharp hero, and I would consider this a pretty much straight rework where she is similarly as good, but the problem is being a very effective damage dealer isn't something you necessarily need out of a tank, nor is it something that we necessarily want out of a tank a lot of the time. And because shielding abilities are at a premium in this game, there's only so many things that can do it, it is a net nerf overall, I think. The ability to shift down and run down a target is insane. It's like if Reaper had a sprint ability. I mean, there's a reason why Nano Boost, when it gave speed, made Reaper insane. Think of that, but just for D.Va. Now she can just close the distance on you and be shooting you the entire time, which nets in a incredibly fast time to kill, and a fairly easy one at that, I would say. So this definitely does achieve giving D.Va the active playstyle that many D.Va players wanted. They want to be able to go hunt things down, kind of like Winston can, I guess. Well, she's better at that, definitely, but with the lessened ability of Defense Matrix, although perhaps the game needed this kind of balancing because it was sick against so many different ultimates, making it a ultimate normal ability, basically, being able to counter so many ultimates, I think you are going to miss the ability to deny all sorts of spam damage, especially against Symmetra and Junkrat at the choke, or Pharah poke, for instance. D.Va is now better at dueling Pharah, but the problem was she already was good at dueling Pharah. You had to do kind of a workaround to fly yourself in the air and then adjust targets quickly to hit her at close range while you're falling in the air. And now you can do that action better, more smoothly and easily, and more players will be able to hunt down a Pharah in air. But the problem that I have is that D.Va never had a problem harassing Pharah in that range where she could fly up to her. The bigger issue was keeping your teammates alive from the snipe rockets from miles away. D.Va was the best counter to that by far with the disciplined Korean D.Va playstyle. But when playing it and knowing that I have less to use, but also offensive tools as well, I can't say that D.Va's taking a massive step back. Because still, if you manage defense matrix perfectly, you're still blocking an infinite amount of damage from that direction. And since you're setting yourself up now to be more of an engage, seek and destroy tank at times, you won't be putting yourself in those positions, at least when you're playing well, I guess, to be able to have to take a main tank type amount of damage denial. It was the case where the old D.Va, on live at least, kind of gave a main tank's worth amount of damage denial, while this new D.Va makes her strictly in the off-tank category, I would say, where she's a lot better at hunting down and dealing with a target and providing supplemental damage block, which is still really, really good, but just online for a smaller period of time throughout a match. It's still just as impactful though, because like if you run in on a duel between your DPS and the enemy DPS, they shouldn't need 4 full seconds to be able to win that duel, right? You block the projectile or the flurry of hit scan shots, and in that amount of time, a play should have been made, if that makes sense. And since D.Va is more lethal in those spaces too, she's not too afraid to go in and out of the battle as she used to, because at any moment, if you can trap your target in that medium range distance where you could hit shift and then close the distance on them, if they're in that range, they're basically dead because you can just pick them out, fly towards them, and they're gonna die. Between your shotgun spread and your micro missiles all hitting them in a burst, it no longer is the case where D.Va gets punished for being out of position. She kind of punishes squishies out of position, which is a thing that like Winston can do because he has enough health to be able to take a duel directly. He can just hop on a target and get that kill. Well, D.Va does that as well. She's just slightly slower but deals more damage, which does allow her to be in the fight more. So I guess an example to sort of illustrate this, you could say before it might be the case where D.Va would jump on a soldier to put the defense matrix on him to eat his entire ult. Well, now she still does the same thing, but she has an opportunity to go kill him more so than just block all the damage, if that makes sense. One cool trick that you can do is use your micro missiles while you have defense matrix up. So when you're on that soldier eating his ult, you can try to aim the micro missiles. But like I said before, the issue with that is that sometimes you have to lead the projectile in a way where it would make your defense matrix or main fusion cannons miss. So that kind of causes an issue, but nevertheless, you can deal damage and absorb it at the same time, which is kind of insane. But most of the time, if you can help it, you're going to want to primary fire with your shift because the closing the distance while dealing damage with shotgun spread is just too good. All things considered, this change is far less controversial, I think. It seems a bit more reasonable, although I think I do get a little bit scared whenever a tank is too good at killing something because that's not really what you want them to excel at. Before you know it, we're back in a triple tank meta because if tanks are just so good at dueling squishies, like they're too big of a risk, too big of a liability to even play. And we could very easily find ourselves in that space. But at the very least, I like the skill cap increase of D.Va. Now you have to just be better with defense matrix. Like you still feel like you're making a big play when you pop defense matrix into effect to like eat a Roadhog hook follow-up or to grab a graviton as it comes out of Zarya's gun. Those are still big plays, and you're still gonna always have it on deck to make it. It just has less of a suffocating effect throughout the entire match, which probably is a good thing overall. I'm just not so sure that players really want a aggro tank that can go hunt them down quite easily on their squishy characters. Now it's the case where she just wrecks something in her sights, whereas the old D.Va was only just okay at fighting. She could do it somewhat when she got into a good position at really close range, but otherwise you could sort of dance around her. This new D.Va, she dances with you, boy. She goes and takes lead on you. If she finds you, she's probably gonna just jump on you and kill you. And you almost use defense matrix more so now to get out of a fight or to quickly get into a fight than you do blocking the majority of damage like a tank does. What do you guys think about the D.Va changes? Let me know in the comment section down below. Aggro D.Va is back. If you enjoyed the video and you found it useful, please leave a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day, so you're gonna wanna hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description to check out our Twitter and our Discord server where you can interact with our community and find the D.Va main of your dreams. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.